The World Cup starts in a few days, and I've been reading about it. Not the games, not the brackets, not who's going to win. I've been reading about everything that's happening around it. The politics, the conflicts, the money grabs, and honestly, it's a lot. Because from where I sit, as just a guy who finds this stuff interesting, the World Cup in 2026 is turning into something that's bigger than soccer. Way bigger. And I think most people don't fully know what's going on. So let me just walk you through what I've been reading. This year's tournament expanded from 32 teams to 48 teams for the first time in history. It's being co-hosted by 3 nations, the United States, Mexico, and Canada. FIFA expects the tournament to generate roughly $12 billion in revenue, an unprecedented figure in global sport. That's the largest amount of money ever generated by a single sporting event. And when there's that much money involved, politics always shows up. Here's the one that stopped me when I read it. The US and Israel launched strikes on Iran starting February 28th. So far, over 1,200 people have been killed in Iran and more than 12,000 wounded. Iran has responded with strikes on Israel, U.S. military bases in neighboring Middle East states, and infrastructure across the region. And in the middle of all of that, Iran qualified for the World Cup, and every single one of their group stage games is scheduled to be played in U.S. cities. Iran's sports minister went on state television and said, quote, "Considering that this corrupt regime has assassinated our leader, under no circumstances can we participate in the World Cup." But then Trump posts on Truth Social. The Iran national soccer team is welcome to the World Cup, but I really don't believe it is appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety. And Iran's team fired back on Instagram saying, "The World Cup is a historic and international event, and its governing body is FIFA, not any individual or country." Think about that. An active war between 2 countries. And both of their soccer teams are supposed to show up and play in American stadiums. I'm not going to tell you what to think about the war. That's way above my pay grade. But I will say, nobody in 2018, when they gave the U.S. this tournament, could have predicted this scenario. A sitting U.S. president publicly questioning whether a participating country's players should even show up for their own safety. That's not a normal World Cup problem. Now, even if we set the Iran situation aside, there's a whole separate issue about who can actually attend this tournament. The Trump administration issued proclamations restricting or limiting the entry of nationals from 39 countries. As a result, fans from those nations are unable to attend any World Cup matches in the United States. Of the 48 nations that qualified for the tournament, fans from Côte d'Ivoire, Haiti, Iran, and Senegal are all subject to the ban. So imagine your country qualifies for the first time or after years of trying, and you can't travel to the host country to watch them play. As of April 2026, the U.S. also implemented an expansion of its visa bond program, requiring citizens from 50 countries to pay a bond of up to $15,000 before traveling to the U.S. temporarily. 5 World Cup qualified countries were impacted: Algeria, Cabo Verde, Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, and Tunisia. $15,000 just to apply to be allowed in, not a ticket price, a bond, before you even buy a ticket. And here's the thing I kept thinking about when I read all of this. The 1994 World Cup was also held in the United States, and people look back on that as one of the greatest tournaments ever. The atmosphere was incredible. Fans from all over the world came and it worked. This is a very different situation. When the US, Canada, and Mexico were awarded the tournament back in 2018, the bid, called United 2026, spoke of hundreds of thousands of $21 tickets across the group stage. That was the promise. That was what was sold to the public and to FIFA to win the hosting rights. The reality? The cheapest openly available group stage ticket in the first sale phase was $120. The cheapest final ticket on official primary sales was $1,490. And it got worse. FIFA unveiled an entirely new category of tickets called front category seats. Front row seats priced even more expensively. A front row seat in the lower bowl for the final costs more than $30,000. The New York and New Jersey attorneys general announced they have launched a formal probe into FIFA over its ticketing practices, examining complaints about soaring prices, variable pricing models, and seat relocations. A U.S. Congresswoman has called on FIFA President Gianni Infantino to explain himself as criticism grows over alleged price gouging. Even President Trump, who has an established close relationship with Infantino, told the New York Post he wouldn't pay roughly $1,000 for nosebleed seats at the U.S. opening game. There's something else I kept noticing when I was reading about this. When FIFA held the World Cup draw, Infantino was presented with a peace prize, and one longtime soccer fan described it as feeling fake. He said, "I was so excited about watching it, and after about 20 or 30 minutes, it felt fake to me. I wanted it to be about soccer, but it just wasn't." Trump has already declared this the most successful World Cup before a single game has been played. The sport has always had political influence around it, but what's different about 2026 is how openly intertwined it all is. So here's where I landed after reading all of this. The actual soccer, the games themselves, might still be incredible. I genuinely believe that. When the ball starts moving, people tend to forget everything else. But what's surrounding this tournament is genuinely unlike anything I've seen for a major sporting event in a long time. An active war between a participating team and the host nation. Travel bans blocking fans from watching their own country play. Ticket prices that went from a $20 promise to a $30,000 reality. State attorneys general opening investigations into FIFA. A president weighing in on whether a foreign team should show up for their own safety. This is a lot for a soccer tournament to carry. I don't know how it all plays out, nobody does right now, but I thought it was worth reading about and worth talking about. If you found this useful, subscribe. I cover stuff like this whenever I come across something worth digging into. I'll see you in the next one.